Imagine the stage is dark. A single spotlight cuts through the shadows, and the sound of a heartbeat grows louder with each passing second. Then a voice speaks, calm but filled with suspense. What if I told you that one of the most powerful forces in modern music almost didn't exist? What if I told you that destiny, chance, and sheer resilience came together in a way so rare, it reshaped the entire K-pop industry forever? This is not just the story of a girl group. This is the story of Twice, a name now etched into the fabric of global pop culture, but whose origins are woven with doubt, risk, sacrifice, and an unimaginable test of willpower. Before the screaming fans, before the sold-out arenas, before the billions of streams, there were just 9 girls with a dream. And not just any dream, but the dream to rise above an industry that pushes every limit of youth, beauty, and talent. The journey began with a gamble. 16. A survival show where hopefuls stood under the relentless gaze of judges, the weight of their futures pressing down on them. Each elimination was heartbreak. Each tear shed under those harsh stage lights was a reminder that in the world of K-pop, only the strongest, or perhaps the luckiest, survive. But fate had different plans for Twice. Against all odds, the pieces came together. The rejected found redemption. The underdogs seized the moment. And suddenly, 9 strangers were no longer competitors. They were family. But here's the twist. Twice wasn't just created to be another girl group. They were forged as a revolution. Their concept, bright, fresh, unapologetically cheerful, was a gamble in an era dominated by edgier, darker acts. Many doubted them. Could a group built on joy and warmth really survive the ruthless world of K-pop? Could they stand shoulder to shoulder with titans already dominating the charts? The answer came quickly. With their debut, like oh ha, Twice announced their arrival with fireworks. But it wasn't just the song. It was the energy, the personalities, the chemistry that radiated from the 9 of them. They weren't just idols performing on stage, they were sisters, bound by trial, triumph, and trust. Fans didn't just listen, they connected, they believed, and that belief transformed everything. From rookies struggling to prove themselves, Twice became a movement. Their music videos began breaking records. Their dance moves became viral sensations. Their smiles carried across borders, conquering Japan, the US, and beyond. In an industry notorious for building groups like machines, Twice defied the blueprint. They became human icons, approachable, relatable, yet untouchably radiant. This is the story you're about to witness. A story not of overnight success, but of pain, perseverance, and the undeniable spark of fate. Over the next 2 hours, we will journey through their origins, their rise, their heartbreaks, and their victories. We'll uncover how Twice not only became one of the most successful K-pop groups in history, but also redefined what it means to be global idols. So sit back. The stage is set, the curtain is rising, and as the heartbeat you hear echoes into the distance, remember this. The story of Twice is not just about music. It's about survival. It's about belief. And most of all, it's about destiny. The story of Twice does not begin with glittering stages, screaming fans, or chart-topping hits. It begins with uncertainty, vulnerability, and the gamble of youth. In the mid-2010s, JYP Entertainment, already home to legends like Wonder Girls, 2PM, and Miss A, was at a crossroads. The K-pop industry was shifting rapidly. Competition was fierce, newer agencies were taking bold risks, and the next wave of global expansion loomed just beyond the horizon. JYP needed something revolutionary, something that would not only reignite their legacy, but also capture the hearts of a new generation. Out of this need came an experiment, a survival show unlike any other, titled 16. It was here, in this crucible of hope and heartbreak, that the seeds of Twice were sown. 16 was brutal in its simplicity. 16 hopeful young trainees, some already veterans of the practice rooms, others still raw and inexperienced, were placed under the public eye. The cameras rolled as they laughed, cried, and danced their way through challenges designed not only to test their skills, but to reveal the depth of their character. It was not merely about who could sing the highest note or dance the cleanest step. It was about survival in a world that demanded resilience, charm, and the ability to connect with strangers watching from afar. Each elimination cut deep, shattering dreams in front of millions of viewers. For the girls, it was not just a show. It was their very futures being weighed in real time. The audience watched as bonds were formed and tested, as tears blurred the lines between rival and sister, and as one by one, the roster of possible idols narrowed down. Among these girls were faces destined to become iconic. There was Nayeon, with her radiant smile and unshakable determination, a trainee so well-rounded that she seemed to carry the spirit of JYP's next generation on her shoulders. Jonghyun, the confident yet understated powerhouse, whose cool exterior masked a vulnerable heart and a drive for excellence. Jihyo, who had trained for a decade, enduring rejection and delays, carrying within her the hunger of someone who had waited her entire youth for this moment. Then there was Momo, whose elimination shook fans, but whose undeniable talent and dancing prowess earned her a dramatic return, symbolizing that destiny sometimes defies rules. Sana, the charming enigma from Japan, won over hearts with her effervescent personality, while Mina, graceful and elegant, embodied the poise of a ballerina turned idol. Completing the Japanese trio was Tsuyu, the youngest, whose quiet demeanor and striking visuals made her an instant fan favorite. Rounding out the group were Chaeyoung, the young rapper with a fearless edge, and Dahyun, whose viral eagle dance proved that even in a cutthroat competition, humor and individuality could shine. When the final lineup was announced, Twice was born. Not through a carefully planned reveal in a boardroom, but through the tears and votes of fans who had watched their struggles from day one. Their very name, Twice, symbolized their mission: to capture hearts once through the eyes and again through the ears. But if 16 was their fiery trial, debut would be their baptism into the harsh world of K-pop. In October 2015, Twice released Like Oh, a song that was neither an immediate chart topper nor a failure. It was a quirky, colorful blend of pop, hip-hop, and EDM, accompanied by a zombie-themed music video that left an impression even on casual viewers. Slowly but surely, the song began to climb the charts, carried by word of mouth and the undeniable charm of the 9 girls who seemed to radiate authenticity and joy. By the time the song peaked, Twice had already begun carving out a space for themselves in the crowded world of K-pop. But their true explosion came with Cheer Up in 2016. With its addictive Shy, Shy, Shy line delivered by Sana, Twice became a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, they were no longer just rookies. They were the faces plastered on billboards, the voices echoing in schools, and the idols every child wanted to imitate. TT solidified this momentum with its iconic crying dance and whimsical visuals. Twice had tapped into something that transcended music charts. They became the voice of a generation. Their songs were not just listened to, they were lived, sung, and reenacted by millions. The power of Twice lay not only in their catchy hooks, but in their ability to radiate an approachable, almost girl-next-door charm that made fans feel like they weren't distant stars, but companions in life's journey. Yet behind the glittering rise, the path was far from easy. The members faced grueling schedules, intense scrutiny, and the pressure of being labeled as the next nation's girl group. Tsuyu, in particular, faced political controversy when her nationality was thrust into headlines, forcing a teenager to navigate the turbulent waters of geopolitics while simply trying to chase her dream. Jihyo, once mocked for her weight during training, carried the burden of proving her worth as both a leader and a performer. Momo's re-entry into the group carried its own weight of expectation. Her dance skills were world-class, but she constantly pushed herself to show she belonged beyond just performance. Each member bore silent battles, but together, their unity became their shield. As their fame spread beyond Korea, Twice expanded aggressively into Japan, a market often considered difficult to conquer. Yet, with their Japanese trio leading the way, Twice shattered records, topping Oricon charts and selling out dome tours, achievements that placed them in the same breath as legendary acts. Their Japanese albums, infused with both translated Korean hits and original tracks, proved that Twice's appeal was not bound by language. Soon, they weren't just Korea's sweethearts. They were Asia's. By the late 2010s, Twice had cemented their position as one of the defining groups of their era. From What Is Love to Fancy and Feel Special, their sound evolved, showcasing maturity without losing the charm that first won fans over. Each comeback told a new chapter, from playful innocence to empowering anthems that resonated with fans growing up alongside them. Their concerts transformed into global spectacles, with fans onces waving candy bong light sticks in unison, creating seas of color that lit up stadiums across continents. Even as newer groups rose to challenge them, Twice's bond with their fans kept them resilient. Their story was not just about music. It was about the connection forged through shared struggles, victories, and growth. From the tears shed in 16 to the triumphant stages of world tours, Twice embodied the idea that idols are not flawless deities, but human beings whose strength lies in perseverance and unity. And as their careers stretched into new milestones, Twice began to redefine what longevity meant in K-pop. In an industry that often discards idols once they reach a certain age, Twice proved that growth, reinvention, and authenticity could sustain relevance. They weren't simply the girls of Shy 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 anymore. They had become women with stories of resilience, artistry, and leadership, inspiring millions across the world.